Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting, brought to you by ElkBros.com, with your host Gilbert Ornelas and elk hunting coach Joe Gillia. You want to hunt elk? They live to hunt elk. Their goal is to share with you what they have learned grinding it out for over 35 seasons, doing what they love. So come on into camp and set a spell. Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunters.
Hello there, everyone. If it's your first time with us, glad to have you. Hope you enjoy the show. And as always, for those blue collar hunters following our show and grinding it out with us every week, welcome back to Live Elk Camp. I'm Gilbert Ornelas, the host of your show, and joining me today, we've got the legend from Cimarron, New Mexico. Mr. R.C. Knox is in the house. The owner of the Western Contours podcast and Western Fly Cover, Mr. Guy Duplantier is in the house. We have the Northern Don of the Venezuelan Mafia with us, Mr. Manano Graterón. We have the leader of the Venezuelan Mafia in the house, Mr. Luis Gonzalez from Katy, Texas. And none other than the ninja from Cimarron, New Mexico, Mr. Leroy Chavez in the house. And WWJGD's here. Got it teed up and ready to go. Also joining us are those incredible folks supporting and watching and interacting live with us on YouTube. What's up, grinders?
Oh my goodness, man. Let me get the whole everybody up here. Look at this crowd, man.
Ready to go.
This is a motley looking bunch of sons of guns.
Oh, man, what a group, man. And look, we're all together. Woo! That's
together,
huge.
Man.
That is huge, man.
The boys are back in town.
The Mafia's been on a hiatus, man. These guys have been killing pigs. They've been doing videos. They've been out there just doing it.
Landowners now. They're landowners, man.
Oh, no way. Congratulations, boys.
Yes.
Still working, so
I don't know about the plural portion of that statement, Gilbert, but I mean, I guess.
Man, I tell you, this whole live thing, trying to get joined, it makes me so daggum antsy, man. But it looks like
especially when you got Guy in here with us, that's for sure.
And Guy's already in my ear, man, giving me a hard time, man, when I'm trying to do it.
He's trying to log in, catching it already.
God dang, man.
See, I like the lives, right? Because Joe is like, his seat's like this. Are you on leather or vinyl, buddy? Because you know you're gonna rip that son of a bitch up tonight.
Guys, so when everybody sees this, we're actually hunting
in the woods.
You're in the woods Monday and Tuesday, man. So this is going to come out, you know, if you guys try to go watch this evening, man, I'm going to be cutting it off, and then it will be reintroduced on Monday, Tuesday, so everybody can see the live. And everybody's like, well, how can we see the live, you know, that night? By being there.
Yeah.
That's how you can see it, man. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of let everybody know what, you know, how this is all going to work. Some of you guys have been on with us before.
Adam Messner's in the house, bro.
But for those people that haven't been on with us, here's how it's going to work. Feel free to ask us any questions during the show through the chat. The guys, all these guys here will be helping me out by jotting down questions and bringing them up for you if we don't see it right away. Like if it gets scrolled past and everything like that. So in between the questions, if we don't have questions from you, we have our own questions from our ElkBros mailbox, folks that left messages on our ElkBros call-in number or Instagram. And one important note for the live chat is that there is a little bit of a delay. I'm not sure exactly how long that delay is, but if you just be patient with that, man. All right? And Gil, you had some announcement too, right?
Yeah, man, I do. I'm trying to toggle between my phone and everything else, Joe. Hang in there just a second, brother. Uh, Also, you guys, we're going to be doing something really cool that Joe's come up with. We'll be giving away prizes tonight. We'll be giving away a couple of great items on our spinner winner wheel to those that have left reviews. But we'll also be giving away some prizes to our live audience tonight. And here's how you're going to enter the live giveaway. When I say it's time to go elk hunting, you need to post your name and where you're from in the live chat. Then throughout the show, we'll be giving away 3 prizes, guys.
What's the magic word? What's the magic sentence there, Gil?
It's time to go elk hunting.
And then they have to put their name and where they're from.
That's exactly your name and where they're from. We'll go over it one more time. It's time to go elk hunting. Then you put your name and where you're from in the live chat.
Yeah.
Then throughout the show, we'll be giving away the 3 prizes. Number 1 prize will be an ElkBros camo hat with an ElkBros Acquisition Squad sticker. The second thing will be a set of ElkBros signature series called...
Hold on, bro. I'm going to show them here.
The grinder, the juice, and a Burnham red, fellas. And your choice of an elk, on the third thing will be your choice of an ElkBros Guide Express call holder or an ElkBros Soloist grunt tube. So, and remember, man, it's your full name and where you're from. With that said, it's time to go elk hunting.
Hold on, you forgot one thing. I told you, Jackleg Hefe here, that we were going to do a pursuit poncho.
Mr. Guy Duplantier with Western Fly Covers will be giving away in the spinner winner wheel a Western Fly Covers pursuit poncho. And if you boys have been noticing, if y'all are headed out west, you better have one with you.
It is raining, man. So Guy, we're going to do the spin a weir wheel after here in a little bit, and we're going to announce those prizes, man, so that you have it. And the names are rocking in.
Thanks so much, Guy, for your
absolutely
generous donation and your participation as one of our.
Let's see who we have in the house, man. We've got Marlboro, Connecticut, Phoenix, Arizona, Topeka, Kansas, Wheatridge, Colorado, Ogden, Utah. You put IT. I don't think it's IT there, Mike, but I know where you're from, bro, and it's so good to see you, Mike. We got Hiram, Georgia in the house. Born and bred in New Mexico. He's been transplanted to Oklahoma, but Keith knows where home is. Rio Rancho, Alpena, Michigan, Marlboro, Connecticut.
Alpena.
Denver, Colorado, Louisville, Kentucky. So, Gil, let's move on and give away prizes because we have a bunch of people for the spin a winner wheel.
Joe, tell everybody what's up for grabs.
Yeah, for those folks that have left us a review on Apple Podcasts or you've given us a comment on our YouTube channel, and I love those, man, because we can interact and include your name and where you're from. We have placed those names in our ElkBros Spin a Winner wheel. We're going to actually do 2 winners today. There's going to be 2, not just 1, 2 winners today. The first winner will get their choice of our ElkBros Guide Express call holder and an ElkBros Solo or an ElkBros Solar's grunt tube. And I did that because a lot of y'all have the grunt tube. I wanted you to get a chance to get something different if you already have it. Then today's second winner will get what we believe is the best rain gear solution for any hunter or hiker hitting the mountains. The Pursuit Poncho from Western Fly Covers, y'all. Guy, tell everybody a little bit about it.
So you got 13 ounces of protection. It's made to keep you on the mountain, keep you hunting. It's designed for hunters, by hunters, in September on the western slope of Colorado over the last couple seasons. So some of the features is a full front waterproof zipper, a hood designed to keep your periphery free, keep the water from sheeting in your face off the side of the hat, extended rear panel so you can put your pack under it. That waterproof front zipper allows you access to your bino harness if you're wearing your bino harness. So a little bit shorter on the arm length, but the reason we do that is because when we're here, I don't want a bunch of fabric getting in my string, getting in my way. So as you pull and extend to your draw, you lose a little bit of length here, but you're still able to keep on that pursuit, switch up tactics while they're hunkered down, trying to get out of the rain themselves, and you can keep on moving, keep on calling, and keep on grinding.
You know, dude, I actually feel like the uncle to the Pursuit poncho, man, because I remember when all this process was happening, and I've always run a poncho, and me and Guy had a lot of conversations about that. And I tell you what, dude, I'm so proud of it because you so nailed it, man. I mean,
Yeah.
the front zip is something that, first of all, is just amazing. But the hood on that thing,
Yes.
the hood on that thing is the best hood on. I mean, it's unbelievable. You can ride a four-wheeler and not end up blowing that thing off your head, man. It's just and keeps your hat dry. All right, so let's do that.
The first time I met Guy Duplantier, he gave us some Western fly covers for our backpacks. And Joe, remember, we actually hunted in a dadgum downpour and ended up killing a bull in that downpour, but all our packs were dry because we had Western fly covers covering our packs and everything.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
I can't wait to use my poncho here this year. And I know we're going to need it where we're going.
You know, I forgot to turn on the sound effects, so we might have to be the sound effects on these things, boys. So let's see what happens. Here we go. This one is going to be for your choice between ElkBros Guide Express and the ElkBros Soloist Grunt Tube. This is, and you can see the names who are on there, and here we go. Spinning, spinning, spinning. Oh, Jason Pulliam, Northern New Mexico. Jason. That's awesome, man. And I'm going to take away Jason off of it. And here we go. This one is going to be for the Pursuit poncho, man. Somebody's getting a deal here.
Man, this is so awesome.
There's a few names that have the Pursuit that's on here, so I'll link up with you and we'll get you a different fly or something. Same value.
You can always donate
Oh my God, yeah.
This guy, man, could fall in a pile of crap and come out smelling like a rose, dude. Charlie Newberry.
Charlie.
Henrietta, Texas in the house.
Oh my goodness, man.
He's going to need it. He's going to need it.
I know where he's going. He's going to need it.
He's going to need it, man.
Yeah.
I think Charlie already has one, boys.
No, he doesn't.
No,
he doesn't, because he was talking to me about ordering one just today. So.
Oh, dang. Son of a bitch, I missed the sale.
He texted me for the discount code and everything, guy. Dadgummit, now you got to give me.
I want to give props to Scott Schwab here. He says his Guy the Poncho.
The poncho, dude. That ain't even right, dude.
That's pretty cool.
Poncho.
The poncho, motherfucker. Let me see you on the mountain.
and I everybody, I want you to know that Mr. Bohitch himself is on here. I want you to see that.
Armando,
is
baby.
on here, man.
Boys, if you're going in the mountains, carrying your bow sucks. You better have a dadgum bow hitch. Because why? Because Big O said so. That's why.
Okay, so let's do this. We got some questions that are already starting to hit, and let's see what you guys start looking for questions. If you see something that Matt Flowers, I see him right away, so I'm going to pull that one out. When doing a lost calf scenario, what should it look like? How long should I be moving? Cadence? Should I induce a mature cow that found the calf? Thanks, boys. So I can tell you one thing, Matt, right away. Guy Duplantier would jump all over this, man. And he'd say, you know, how could that calf be lost if there was a mama in with it, right? So so let me give you an idea. And the best thing to do, all you guys, I'm going to tell you, you're asking humans to sound like a lost calf and give you the cadence and everything. Now, we've heard it and we can give that to you, but what I highly recommend is what I've been doing with people that I coach is that I have them listen to it, have the video, get it from YouTube. I have one that I send out to everybody that we actually recorded, and then have them go back 20 or 30 feet or yards, about 20, 30 yards from your phone in the woods, and then do and try to match to see how well you're able to match what it's doing. okay? But if you've ever listened, where I hear some people, they come in and they start doing something like this. And that's way too fast, man. If you hear something like that, that is like super urgent like that. But most of the time when they're
attacked.
Yeah, most of the time when they're moving through, it's more like
It's not sounding very good.
oh, let me change my
I'm gonna blame it on the audio, not
Yeah,
you.
so-
I'll blame it on you.
let me see if you hear me now.
But that was terrible, dude.
We could hear it, but
You hear
we're
it
catching
now?
a lot of. We could hear it before,
Yeah,
Joe,
I can
but
hear
we're
it.
catching a lot of air up front of the call.
Yeah,
Pull the mic. Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, and that's a good
That better?
calf. Yeah, good calf.
That better?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So
yeah. You just catching the air.
And here's the thing about that calf call, man. You can get it a little bit more volume and higher pitch for a little bit more mature calf. So you have that.
Yeah, that's the lost one.
All right, but it's going to be spaced more.
There it is.
Yeah,
I think we're just not getting the
We're not.
all the
Yeah, it sounds like
tones.
your. Yeah, it sounds like your sound for musicians is tripping or your mic.
Uh-huh.
But so the one thing I would say is, guys, it's not just that lost calf and lost cow, right? That Joe was referring to, because it drives me bonkers if we're throwing out a lost cow and then we immediately go, with another cow or a bull sound or lost calf and go with a cow sound, right? We've effectively cut ourselves off from that scenario, right? So just be cognizant of that as you're playing your game. And one of the things I like to do, man, is just in the truck is not just focus on the one call, right? Not just squeaking out a mew or, chirping or whatever it is, doing that lost calf, but actually holding the conversations, walking through scenarios in my head and kind of talking to myself and having that conversation. I hit the mountain. I've already done it, right? I already have it worked out, and then I can play from there. But if you're going to go lost, how long do we stay lost before we're found? Right.
Yeah, stay lost.
So watch. Yeah. Stay lost.
Yeah, stay lost.
Stay lost.
Yeah.
Because
And-
you
and
want
that-
them to come find you,
And they're real when they're moving through and they're anywhere near a herd. They're more just like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've had them run right
it's
up to me and sniff my arm, dude. I mean, seriously, you sound like a cow and a calf's lost. Oh my God, and I mean, here they come, boy. They'll beeline right to you and walk right up to you, man. They're dumb as a bag of hammers.
Well, and then, to further what RC said, right? Stay lost. You can
Yeah.
get insistent, right?
Yeah.
Start getting insistent, putting that
Yeah.
emotion into that lost calf, that lost cow, and start whining and looking and whining and looking. And you know what I mean? So you're not just throwing out a mew or a chirp. At this point, you're like, I'm lost. Someone find me. Someone tell me where they're at. Right. So
Mhm.
you're going to get that response if you stay persistent on it. And I love them daggum lost calf whines, man, because you can be subtle. So you're not going to blow anything out, and you can whine and whine and whine and whine and as much as you want. And it's just like what those calves do in the woods.
Yeah.
So we had when I saw somebody's questions in here, I think it was Fred. Fred, I'm gonna say Hubner. I think I hit it there. He asked if I could demonstrate the sounds we use for a love-straighted bull. And first of all, I want to make sure, Luis, tell me if you're hearing this.
Sorry, somebody. Keith says, I know RC is looking at his phone, but it looks like he's napping.
So the love-straighted bull, what you want to think about with the love-straighted bull is no different than you being frustrated. I mean, you're like, oh, come on, baby. Oh, ah, dang. Oh man! So what is that in when I refer that into the elk language? So it's going to be more of this. And I don't know if you'll hear this or not.
Yeah,
But
I
what I
think all
do
that
is-
came through good.
What I'll do is I'll add the raking in with that as well on that. And so it's just those pants, just those moans, just those whines. That's what I'm going to do with that. And I'm going to do that little series. I'm going to actually, after I get done with it, I'm going to start raking. And when you're doing the raking, guys, you want to make sure it's something like, you know, don't just start hammering at a tree. Look at what an elk actually does and how he works the inside of the horns, or he takes the tips up and down, or he goes up into the branches and tat, tat, tat like that. So when you're doing it, it's like...
Yeah, make it as real as you, like you doing it, you know, like a real elk doing it.
Joe,
you know?
Joe, is it
cadence.
does it help any to do kind of bull mews as you are raking as well? I believe
So
you.
I've actually heard the bulls while they're raking will make some sounds while they're raking.
Yeah.
And
whine.
now the other thing though is if you're not doing it so it's a bow call or a bull mew, Luis, the other thing is that, you know, when I'm doing that, and it's hard for me to do the sound of the raking, but when I'm raking, I'm actually
Yeah.
right?
That's what I
And
mean.
so I'm creating layers on top of that, and that's how it's going to sell that realism. Okay.
Yep.
Does that help, Fred? And Fred, what I'm doing for that on those sounds is I'm doing that for, God, you know, I want to say 3 minutes, but sometimes it's not that long. I mean, 3 minutes is a long time. You know, you can run an 800 around a track in that 3 minutes. So it seems pretty long. And then we're going to let it marinate for a while, man. 3 to 5 minutes really listening, looking, watching, you know, because if you are presenting a bull, another bull that hears that is most likely going to come in silent. Depending on his mood and time of year, most of the time he's going to come in silent to check out that opposition.
And then really that 3 to 5 minute timing, right, is I'm going to say is based on proximity, right? So if you feel like you have them in the area, but you're not exactly certain, you know, that you're in the bubble, right? We'll call the bubble in this instance, you know, 100 yards to 150 yards. That 3 to 5 minutes may have to get extended out, you know, to 10, 15 minutes, 10, 12 minutes. So really, you know, temper that and watch how much time you're spending. Don't start that sequence on one tree, move 100 yards, and then hit that sequence again, right? You could find yourself blowing situations up that way.
Well, and you bring a good point too, because dude, if I have heard a bull and I know a bull is up in a bed or I know he's in an area, I don't have to do it every 3 to 5. I can do it for a little bit. Now, the only thing is when I'm love straighted, man, I am in that mood. So that's why I kind of do that more short time limit. Now, if I'm doing something.
What's your hold time though, I guess, Joe? So if I do that for 3 to 5 minutes, how much time am I saying, okay, let me give this until I go into my next portion of this sequence, or, you know, add some more realism to this?
Yeah. So I'll actually do this too. I'll get to the point where I'll actually kind of where I'm actually starting to do a little bit of a pseudo bugle right there too. Just something just to start to escalate it a little bit. And then I'll add some of that estrus stuff to it to try to really make that sound go. Then the other thing you can do from there is add another bull. And when you really want to escalate it from there, okay? And that can be a point where you give it enough time where another bull has actually found that, moved in, and has escalated that. That's really now going from a love straighted to a hot cow that is refusing a bull right now. So that's really cool.
Manano's very good at the castrated.
I saw one here.
Joe, can you hear my?
I
When I
can,
call.
bro. Hear it good. Yeah, I got you. So let me ask you guys this, man. Caleb Jurgens says opening weekend is Saturday here in Central Oregon. Daytime high is 99 degrees.
Wow.
Whoa. Any tips? I'm a solo hunter and do not like sitting or sitting still waiting. Man, your mic, bro. To happen when I could make it happen. So any suggestions for him because it's going to be so hot in Central Oregon?
Early morning, find the dark timber where they're going to bed, and you're hunting dark to dark. I mean, you're going to get hot. They're going to get hot. They're going to have to go to water, right? Temperature increases. That water intake's probably going to increase. So find those areas where it's dark timber. You got, a spring or a wallow or some kind of water source, and I think you'll find yourself, you position right in that. You could find it productive. I mean, not hunting. What is it? Hunt the elk, not the weather. I mean, it goes to that shelf of rain gear I have there, right? I don't want to stop hunting because it's raining. I'm going to just switch up my tactics. So it goes the same on the opposite end of the rain flies. If we have that extreme temperature, well, let's just switch up tactics and figure out, what those animals are going to do, north facing slope, things like that, right? And I say that with caution. Last year, we experienced a lot less on the north facing slopes, even with warmer temperatures. So it's not like you're going to only find them on north-facing slopes. You'll see them on those south-facing slopes as well, but they're going to be in thicker timber, better areas with bedding. And a lot of that had to lend itself to us last year is because of where the water was. So find those water sources, find the dark timber. Don't stop, hunting. Make sure you stay hydrated and safe, but keep on your pursuit, man.
If you have to find shade because you're sweating to death, that's what those elk are doing. Man, so take the read for what those critters are doing, and when you're looking around to find some place to be, that's what they're doing too. So they need that thermal regulation. They need that. They need to find a place to cool off. And like Guy says, man, yeah, it's not always up on a northeast face. Sometimes it's down off the side of an edge someplace, or you got a crevice that's going in and there's a lot of thick trees down inside that. They'll drop down into things, man. We get those arroyos that are only about 50 feet deep that get all kinds of trees choking inside it, and they'll go bed down inside there and stay cool because they end up with shade getting hit from different sides there, right? Chav, we see that a lot, don't we?
Yeah, the deep ravines.
Yeah,
Yep.
I would add to the comment, first of all, pay attention to the wind and then do all of what they said.
Anybody else grabbed a question yet?
Steve Hansen, when moving up the mountain early in the morning and you find elk in transition from feed to bed, what are your top call scenarios and considerations? Inclined to wait for them to bed and slow play? Any other ideas? Man, that's like trying to get a car to stop on the freeway, especially if you're behind. And we talked about this maybe 2 episodes ago, right?
Yeah.
If we are in the rears of that herd and their movement from A to B, don't try and call to them. They're not going to, they have a location. Generally, the bulls are going to be following those cows. They are in destination. They will keep calling, but you're not going to get them to spin around, right? It's like being on a highway and having a car turn around at 100 miles an hour. It's just, I haven't been successful with it. I've had a couple stop, but they'll stop, they'll look, they'll keep moving, but they'll keep calling. So your best, like Joe said a couple episodes ago, is to get ahead of them, parallel them the best you can. If you could beat feet, if you have an understanding of the terrain and where they're headed, then do your best to cut them off, get in the middle of them, and then call to them while they're in transition. But if you're behind them, in my experience, you're hurting yourself trying to call to them, and you're gonna lose.
You're just educating them.
Right? Yeah.
Luis, you experienced that same scenario firsthand.
Which one was that, Joe?
You and I on my bull in 21. It was in 2020. That bull that
Yeah, we all split up. Remember, You went after a herd, and me and Manano and Brendan.
I put a Mohican sneak that not even Joe knew I was behind him. I scared him.
Yeah, he got in behind those bulls and actually got parallel to them, level, right, and then worked his way. I mean, you know, that's the thing is you can catch them when they're slowing down, going towards a
Talk about a run and a hike uphill to be parallel to them in order to be able to intersect them above. That was quite the rush, man.
You know, Joe and I did that in '53. We did that. We found a couple of bulls with about 10 cows, and they were across a big field. I mean, a really big field. And we got in a little tranas, and we knew we could get through there undetected. And we got in that tranas and took off, man. And I'm telling you, I don't know how I did it, but I did it. I stayed up with Joe, and we actually got above those elk parallel to them. We were actually above them, and we actually called a cow and a calf from below us, and we called the bull down to us. They kind of got up there to that destination where they wanted to bed, and then we called that bull to us. But we actually got above them, didn't we, Joe?
Yeah, we did.
The fine Tranas.
And yeah, and it was one of those deals that we actually had a calf blow it for us, man. The calf came right up and came up to me, man, sniffed me and blew everything up. We only need one more yard. And Matt, I know what you're talking about as far as ending the sequence, but I don't think you have to worry about ending the sequence, you know, with the cow. If you introduce the cow like that, then, you know, you can even just now go even to a lost cow call. You know, there's lots of things you can do with that.
And you never know who's trailing them. He could have some satellite bulls trailing them. So it doesn't hurt to, you know, make that stand and see if there's something trailing them. But chances are, like Guy said, them suckers are going to a destination. And unless you can beat them up there or join them, best thing to do, stay quiet so they don't know anybody's there, and try to use your woodsmanship and get in on them like that.
And it really lends itself to more opportunity, right? I mean, if you can get into where their destination is, you know, and not trying to hunt, you know, the rear of them, if you will, it's gonna give you more opportunity to sit there and play with them and have some sequences, and then learn a little bit and educate yourself as you're calling to them too.
And now you know where they're bedded. That's a huge deal. You know, huge deal. Now you know where they're going, where they're bedded. You know, if your wind's wrong, you can wait. You know, wait them out. They're going to come back down. They're going to go back down to go eat that night and go to water or things like that. So, I mean, now you got a piece of information that's very valuable.
Tips for night bugling. Mitch Frolics asked for tips for night bugling, and dude, it's just, man, all you're doing is just sending out a location bugle, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Single notes, man. I'm just going. All you want to do is you want to utilize places where you can get effective calling, the most efficiency for your calling. So a lot of times we'll stay on the top of ridges and stuff like that and cast calls down into areas, into bowls, or into drainages, or you want to get places like that where you can continue to move, call, move, call, move, call, and all it's going to be is just that's it, man. It doesn't have to be a major production. I see a lot of guys trying to do stuff with their bottom where they're like and you don't need any of that. Those guys are down there in the bottom. They're busy. They're doing things. They're eating. They're breeding. You know, they're not even going to hear the front end. It's just like a conversation. So just send out that single note out there. I've even whistled with my fingers to do it when I didn't have a call. But just send it out there because they're doing their thing, and all of a sudden they catch that note, and it's like, oh, and then you'll get the response from that. So just really cruise areas where you can call into effective areas to get as much value out of your call, and so that you can get those responses. When you do, man, take your Onyx, peg where that's at, you know, go different places, peg where those bulls are, man, because even though you found the one, you might have something that might be, you know, just because of the way the wind's blowing or where it's at, that might be a better morning hunt than another way, you know. Or if you locate one and you blow that, you got something that you can go to at another time in that area. So
who came up with that question, Joe?
God, man, I've probably lost. Oh, Mitch Frolics there. Man.
Mitch. Joe and I've done this since I've been hunting with Joe. We go out night bugle, stuff like that. Joe get up 3 o'clock in the morning when I was his client, and he'd go do that. So he know where some of those bulls were. But the first time I really got exposed to this was last year when we were in Canada. These guys would literally get up at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and drive out to where they thought maybe some bulls were, and they would just send out, just like a bugle Joe did, and we would send out a bugle, and if we got something to answer us, that's exactly where those guys were going to go the next morning. RC and myself, the legend and myself, joined those guys the next morning. We actually kind of had the wind a little bit wrong, and we dove off on this ridge top, and I said, all right, man, before we go any further, our wind isn't really right to hunt this bull. Why don't you send out a location bugle and see what happens? Dude, he sent out one cow call and a location bugle, and this bull was coming. I mean, he was coming already to find us, and he was exactly where he was the night before or the early morning before where we night bugled him, wasn't he, RC?
Oh, yeah. He hadn't moved very far.
No, and so we had to beat feet about a quarter mile below him because the wind was so bad, but ended up calling him in to within about 8 feet of RC, and they whooped us that day. But at the end of the day, it was awesome to see how that progressed.
I think also the behavior and the topography in Canada was a little different, right? And
So
they
thick.
seem to kind of stage in areas without much traveling. Especially in some of the patches that they were in, they could live in small patches of land.
Absolutely.
It's thicker brush, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, guy. You can't see your hand in front of you in 3 feet, man. I mean, it is the thickest stuff you've ever seen. Literally, Brian Hagler is a big old boy. He's about 6'4", about 250, and he was a bulldozer going through there to get to that stuff. I mean, look, and we sounded like a herd of buffalo coming through there, but that even added to the whole deal. It sounded like a bunch of elk coming through there. So that bull was already, man, fired up. And when we made the first cow call in the spot we really shouldn't have, oh my God, he was on us like a rat on a Cheeto. I mean, serious business. He was coming in there to really rough something up,
I want everybody to know that our brother Tony Gilbertson is on here.
The champ's in the house.
Yes, sir. And guys,
the champ is
any
here.
Information you're seeing from Tony flowing out, pay attention.
Pay attention.
Because
Better.
he's talking about, right? One thing, I did see a question here, man, that
Tony, thanks for giving us that info too, brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Joe, while you look, I got a shameless plug question here. So it says, Mike Wilson, I heard some Utah hunters say they got rained out the first week. I asked, what does that even mean? First off, it means that they didn't have a Western fly pursuit poncho. and proof is in the pudding because the inskeeps went out, threw their pursuit ponchos on, got up their mountainside tarp, and they killed an elk on the second day of season on Utah opener. So hunt the elk, not the weather. Get that pursuit poncho at westernflycovers.com. Shameless plug.
So Chris McKelvey has a question that I heard this week as well. How close is too close to set up camp? If the wind is right, that is not going to carry my scent to them, how far back would you move? The main area I'm expecting to find them is 1,000 feet down, and I'm not sure where you finished. But Chris, I had somebody else that asked me this today. They were like, how far off should I put, or where should I put my camp so that I'm not where the elk are? Look, you're in the woods. Wherever you put your camp, you're where the elk are. So what I tell people is generally put your camp someplace where it's in some kind of sheltered area, if possible, so that it actually has some kind of depression that'll pull scent and maybe let it, flow a certain direction. But here's the thing about when you're staying in a tent. Now, it's different if you're in a hammock or something like that. But if you're in a tent, it's like being in a blind. You will have elk come through your camp.
Yes, sir.
Literally here hoofs
Yeah.
outside your tent.
Yeah.
So what I say is, if you have an area that you know where the predominant wind is, that you want to be able to attack it from a certain direction, then think about that when you set your camp, if you want to hunt that particular area. We strategically sometimes would put our camp on a fence line where we're next to a GMU that we can't hunt, and so we weren't worried about any of our scent going and pooling down into there. But here's the thing. When we wanted to go into another direction from camp, we literally had the wind at our back, right? It was really great in some directions, and one direction it wasn't. So what we did was we would move with the wind directly at our back to get across to an area, sacrifice what's in front of us to get to where we wanted to be able to come back, or we could see or hear or smell things off to our side. So sometimes you have to sacrifice it. But Chris, just put your camp where you're going to enjoy the camp spot, where you're going to be in a strategic position for where you want to go in the morning, and be ready to hunt elk right out of your tent, because you could have them bugle like right near your tent.
Manano, how close did the elk come to your generator, bro?
Yeah.
Yards away, 3 yards away.
And the generator was 30 yards from the camper, huh?
Yeah,
Not
not
even.
even 20 yards. And they were smelling the generator.
They were in our camp, fellas, in the midday. In the midday.
I get Chris's wanting to err on the side of caution. with
Yeah,
that,
no
right?
doubt.
And
No
my
doubt. And we
thing
should have
is
too.
not
Yeah.
is not that, for me at least, right? And I've had them walk out, like I could have reached out and grabbed hooves out of the tent, like Joe's talking about. So me erring on the side of caution, I have a half-mile thing. And that's not because I'm worried about my scent traveling to them so much, but I'm worried more about their movement and having them, break their normal pattern, if you will. So I use a half-mile rule, man. If I locate them, I'm going to set camp a half-mile from them in any direction, and hope that that path that they're walking doesn't blow anything up. But man, what was it? Not last year, the year before, I think. Yeah.
There's a fun story about the generator and the elk. That day, we were hunting with my father, and of course, that was his first time hunting elk, and I was, Luis and myself, we were telling, no, Raul, hunting elk is a whole different story. It's not even close to like a rifle hunting or like a white-tailed deer in Venezuela and such. And yeah, we were, we hunt, I would say 3 or 4 days of elk, and we saw them. And, and all of a sudden he was, standing on the RV, and he was like, what's that, Manano? And I was like, that's a bunch of elk, Papa. And the RV. I was like, oh, Manano.
We had a similar deal back in our old stomping grounds on the northern camp. Everybody went for an afternoon hunt, and we stayed behind, and we decided to walk out from camp to hunt the afternoon. And we were a little late leaving that afternoon, and as we were leaving, the elk were coming across the camp.
Yeah. It's happened many times, man.
Yeah,
I remember with me and Carl's, we got up that morning real early, and it was like, he looked at me and I looked at him, and what do you think? Well, I don't know. They didn't make me mad today. So we just turned over about that time. And I'm not kidding you. He is outside next to the tent screaming his head off. You talk about 2 yo-yos jumping up trying to get dressed and jump out of there and go hunt. That's funny.
So let's do this,
Just
man. While
hunt
you
'em,
guys
boys.
look at the next questions, man, let's give away a prize, man, because we got 3 to give away. So let's give away a prize. And Luis, I think you have a number, most likely, of how many totals. Did everybody freeze?
31.
Chav, how about you, brother? How many times have you seen elk close
Luis?
to camp?
31.
No,
31.
All the time, Gil. They're always around camp.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to do a number generator, lower limit 1, upper limit to 31. We're going to generate a number, and Luis, you're going to find the name. And the number is 30. That's going to make it easy. Who is that?
That is Mr. Paul Perky.
Paul Perky.
All right,
Oh,
Paul.
my God.
Paul Perky in the house.
Paul, this is yours, man.
Look
So
at
right
that,
now,
dude.
Paul Perky got the hat and the elk acquisition
All
sticker
right.
for his vehicle.
Don't let him put that sticker on until after adventure camp.
He's got to earn it, huh?
Awesome, man. So another question. I saw one from Doorward Outdoor Adventures that I thought is a good one all around. And it's just not in Alberta. He says, here in Alberta, we get some windy days where calls and sound just don't travel. Definitely can't hear much in the wind for any elk responding. Any tips on how to hunt elk in very windy conditions? You hunt them where they are. So in other words, for me, when it's windy, I
away
just
with
try
a lot.
to either get eyes on one, and that is the best time to stalk. Now, in your case in Alberta, man, in the bush where it's so thick, most of the time you guys have those areas of bush that you know that there's a bull in there, and you kind of know where they reside. And, you know, the best thing I say is get on those trails, get on that fresh track, and be like a dog on a bone, move through, see if you can get eyes on them. And if it's windy, they're going to try generally to be someplace a little bit protected, depending on what the terrain is like. But you're going to try to get in there, and that is the opportunity to shoot a bull in its bed right there. The other thing is, if you do get one bugling in the wind, he's super close. And
yeah.
if the wind is blowing towards you, they can be a little bit further, and that wind will carry it to you. If the wind's blowing the other way and you can still hear that bugle, that booger is tight, man. So, I mean, if it's blowing to the side or anything like that. And
Also remember too, on high pressure days, your sound won't carry as far, right? So them big bluebird days and stuff like that, your sound will not carry as far. Neither will theirs. On your lower pressure days, that sound will go for miles.
yeah, man, no matter what, if whatever the conditions are, make lemonade out of the lemons. There is a strategy that will work with that. Sometimes the eyes and everything like that. RC, how would you hunt elk in the wind, man? you go back to camp, huh?
RC's like, don't make me tell you, Joe.
No, it's like you say, you just got to, if you got eyes on them, that's a big plus.
And knowing your area too, huh? RC?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you kind of know they're going to be in a bed. I mean, like the guy talking about it in Canada, they kind of know that there's a bull in that particular area. Well, if you've already scouted that area and you know that that's a good bedding area for them or whatever, then it's just like, you got to think like an elk. I got to get out of the wind. Where am I going to go to get out of the wind?
It's a safety factor, right?
Exactly. And it's tough when the wind's blowing because there's all kinds of scent in the air, and they're very skittish. So
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, the high wind is a dang good time to get on them, right? Because now you've taken out one of their predominant senses, right? The way olfaction plays into it, like, you know, that wind blowing, man, it's whipping and going
in your face.
I'd be all over
perfect.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
And you know, Keith said that they're going to be in major downfall, and that's dependent on a lot of things, Keith, because a lot of times when they're with a herd and stuff like that, you know, they're just going to get in an area where they can, each of them just bed down, and they're in that, generally there's some place where if that wind's coming out of a predominant, they're going to get some kind of break in there and in that thick timber and stuff, and it's going to give them a break. So it just kind of depends on that, right?
The first time I ever called a bull in for a buddy of mine, Joe, I was with RC Knox, and RC Knox told me where to go. It was really high wind that morning. We actually killed 3 bulls that morning, and it was blowing like a by God. And a really big bull they killed that morning too. But it was absolutely gassing out of the northwest. And RC goes, look, where you're going, these elk are going to be right over here because this is where they go to get out of the wind. So what I'm saying about your knowledge of the area and where they typically are, don't discount that. They're gonna be there. And what RC said was 100% right. We stalked into that area. I didn't even let out a call, and I heard something ahead of me, so I knew it was pretty close. And the minute I did call, oh my gosh, it was 60 head of elk in there and 6 or 7 bulls, but they were all in this one little pocket because it was out of the big wind. It was down in a little bowl, and that's exactly where they went. They didn't go all the way up like they normally do. They stayed in that bowl till 10:30 that morning, 11 o'clock, because of the wind. So like Guy said, it's the perfect time to put the Mohican sneaking on one because they can't hear you and they're really not paying attention to the smell because it's all jumbled up,
And oh, sorry, Jim. Sorry.
No, good, man. We snuck right in there and laid on luckily we had a muzzleloader. We got within 100 yards of one and smoked him, right? But at the end of the day, I learned a lot in that whole thing because of and when I say I learned a lot, I knew that RC knew what he was talking about. He knew the area really well. He knew where the bulls were going to be or the elk were going to be held up because of that bowl in there,
What I was going to say is with that olfaction is we'll call it downgraded, but also their eyes, right? As that wind is blowing, you got every shrub and branch and tree and grass moving.
It's moving.
So
exactly.
you're moving through there, right? So
Exactly.
now 3 of the most important factors that we're trying to beat, 2 of those are taken, right? So now you're fighting one sense, hearing, which the wind is affecting. So the only thing that you're fighting in this scenario, the biggest thing that you're fighting is your woodsmanship and your ability as an elk hunter. So challenge, boys, challenge.
Well said.
Exactly.
So
Silvano Munoz, yeah.
So let me address this. Can I
What's
address
that?
this? I know this guy personally, and he's going up to my unit. So one, and I didn't mean to cut anybody off, but
what's the question? Say the question, bro.
oh, sorry. Let me get back to it because I read it and I go, this son of a bitch is asking.
He says, so I'm on my first elk hunt. I'm a bit nervous because I don't feel super confident about my calls. I have cow-calf mews and an OK locate bugle. I'm finding it difficult to replicate, and I think he was going to talk about like the chuckle and.
Quit worrying about all that, bro.
No, he's not worried. He's not worried about his calling ability. He's worried about being in front or behind me and sucking. And me turning around and going, right? So what I will say is I'm going to temper my expectation when you get to the woods, but having that cow and calf down, that's really all the confidence you need. And in having that locate bugle, it's done, right? You don't I think everybody goes crazy with this, and he brings up the goddamn chuckle. I may chuckle twice a season, maybe, right? But it's having the confidence in the linguistics that get me the response that I'm looking for, and then what do I do with that cow and calf mew? What can I parlay that into, right? I can get a little bit insistent.
They probably need to listen to me chuckle so they can all laugh and realize.
Look, right? He's got it, bro. The cow calf.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
the cow calf
And he
deal
knows-
is the deal.
Yeah, that's the deal. But if you come out there and your cow calf is horrible, then be nervous, right?
Yeah.
Then you've really limited your toolbox, if you will, when you're in the field. But the chuckles, I mean,
Joe.
and then what's a perfect elk sound, boys? What is a perfect elk sound?
You know,
Like,
when it comes to
Zip,
bugles,
bro.
man, I mean, you can do just about anything because they'll end up with laryngitis. They'll sound horrible. They'll sound bad. When it comes to cow calls, sometimes you got to be but there's different tones of that too, and there's different shortnesses. If you pop a bad cow call, don't end with it. Go with another one. Because,
That's it.
just pop another one out because I think they hear what you did last, right? It's kind of like us, they forget about they hear that last one that comes out, right?
Joe, how many bulls we called in with bugles, man? I mean, it's really not that many. I would venture to say, out of the 50 bulls that between Joe and I have killed, I bet in all of mine, they all responded to a cow call first. If
Well,
we did anything,
or
we finished with
or
the
a bow
bugle,
call. A lot of them
yeah,
were
or a
bull
bow
mules,
call,
right?
right? Yeah, or a bow call. But we never, other than me maybe aggravating a bull and introducing that. Man, I don't. We use location bugles 90% of the time just to get a call, and then we know we can go over there to him and get him interested in a hot cow.
I have killed way more bulls that have come in silently
Yeah,
than
looking for
bulls that
that
have
cow.
come in screaming, making a lot of racket.
Yeah, I mean
And I
that's
think if you'd ask anybody in the bulls that they killed, like, if you think about it, like that one that we talk about, your bull that with what we call the Mexican standoff bull that stood there for 8 minutes, right?
Yeah.
That bull was silent until he came to where he knew he should see other elk, and then he threw out a little chuckle and a
He
bugle.
did. He invited more elk to come to him. It was, absolutely precious, man.
But Luis, you think about the first time you and I hunted together, and we had Tucker with us, and that bull came in silent to my left, and the first bull to the right came in silent. We're in an oh crap moment. We dropped down, try to get him within shooting. You just didn't have a clear lane. We get up to go after that bull, and a bull sneaks up on the left side of us. He must have been within 12 yards of me. When I stand up, he boogers. I throw an arrow on, cow call. He has the fatal flaw. What did he do, Luis?
Turn broadside. Stop broadside.
He
Look
stopped
back.
to look back.
Yep. And at that point, God, how far was he? 18 yards? 20 yards?
And Joe, the same thing happened with the one I shot that year. The exact same thing happened. Came in silent from the left. You pull me back. You pull me by the backpack, to get that window. I mean, he also came in silent.
And that was the other thing too, is that bull is standing there. He comes in silent, is standing there looking at us. He sees movement through this oak brush, but Luis is not in a position to be able to take a shot. A lot of people would have stayed frozen. Ask Luis. I grabbed his pack and literally moved him with a bull watching us. He draws and shoots this bull. I mean, you'd be surprised what you can get away with on these guys sometimes, right? Yeah, I tell you, I would not worry. I truly believe that most of the elk that I've killed have been with a cow call or a bull mew, right? There have been times that I imitated some elk to really tick off a bull. There's been times, especially because I guide, throughout the year, so I get to go with all these people. I get to do hundreds of call-ins, during the year. So I've had a lot of experience with bulls that were screaming, especially on private property. That's a bull of a different mode on that private property, right? But in public land, I'm telling you, most of the time they've come in to me silent like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another, I think, comment that is important to flag there, Joe, is that, as far as what you can get away with, there's a good example. The bull that Gilbert killed in Colorado, that was a bull that Manano and I had a, face off with a couple days before. And we were actually, Manano was taking a dump and he saw a bunch of cows walk by him. So he tells me this, and then we go and look for the cows, and then I start trying to call the cows, and then we're just kind of, Manano staging in front of me and behind. I'm calling and calling, and all of a sudden, as he is in front looking at the cows that are way up there, I hear something on my left, and there's this bull coming from the top of the hill down. And I'm like, I'm caught with my pants down. I look left, there's this bull coming. I turn around and I drew. And I just stayed quiet at that moment because he was coming, and I drew, and he stopped. When Manano noticed that I stopped calling, he turned around and he sees the bull, and he startles and he draws the bow again at the bull. The bull catches a glimpse and then turns around and leaves, right? My point there is, like, I much rather say that we both drew on that bull and we're ready to shoot it, then we both froze and the
Didn't do
bull
anything.
eventually caught wind and left, and we didn't even get to draw. So the point is to what
Gotta
we
draw.
always say,
Draw.
gotta draw.
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 Arrow
your
don't
bow.
fly unless that string comes back.
Gotta
Yeah.
draw.
That's right.
Got to draw, and we'll catch. Usually they catch movement, and they're going to booger just a little bit and stop. They just caught a little bit of bad luck, and the bull boogered and didn't stop.
Right.
He saw the first movement, and he was like, "What in the hell was that?" And then he picked up the second movement, and was like, "Oh hell, the mafia's on me! I gotta go."
Yeah, until Big O came to seal the deal a couple of
Well,
days later.
Yep, he'd been up there waiting on me. I guarantee you, because it took me forever to get there.
Jameson
But
Clark.
we got there, didn't we, RC?
Yep.
And Chav, I want you to take a pop at this one and see. I'm interested to see what you tell Jameson on this. So he says, I found fresh rubs, bachelor groups of bulls, and cows using the same areas for a 2-week period and located them on 820. Will the bulls still move out of this area to rut, or will they stay?
At 8:20? I mean, right now?
August 20th. So, yeah,
Is
a
it-
few days
If the
ago.
cows stay there, they'll stay.
If the cows
the
stay
cows
there, the bulls are going to be there. So, I'd check that area out. Definitely check that area out.
Yeah, that's
No.
one thing when we see game cams, right? People always talk about getting bulls on game cams.
Don't care about
And
that.
when you find rubs, there's a difference between different kind of rubs, man. When you find rubs up on the side of a ridge in a bedding area, and you're seeing, every 5 foot or every 10 foot, you're seeing this rub tree. Well, that's that layer rub, and that's where they were rubbing off that velvet and everything up there on the side of that ridge. When you start seeing down on the edge of parks or in transition areas, you start to see those trees that are anywhere from 5 foot to 10 foot that are just blown up, those pines or junipers, especially on the edges of any kind of feed areas and stuff like that. Those are rut rubs, man. That's them demonstrating right there. Okay? So there's a little bit of difference between the type of rubs. Now, those bedding areas where you saw those rubs, and those bulls are going to be there every year. For those people that get that early August hunt, and you find something like that when they're still bachelored and they're still in some of those layers, that is prime place to remember.
So here's one from Richard Flock, Joe. What do you do when you get a big bull to chuckle back and then he goes silent? He said he was down the hill, and this is the first week of September, and he caught him on the road, a big 7x7 no bow.
So you saw him? He saw him?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
And he
didn't
said
have
no
his
bow?
Yeah. I
Well,
don't
it
understand.
really don't matter then. I mean,
Yeah, don't educate him.
You gonna tackle him?
Don't run him down, Mr.
we're
Richard.
not,
We're gonna rope him and tie him down.
we're not laughing at you, dude,
That's
man.
the
I mean,
real
it's just
cowboy.
this is how we are with each other. But when
We've been
you hear
there.
that, when you
We've
hear
been
that
there.
chuckle and it's early, when you hear that chuckle and it's early like that, that's that bull in buddy mode right there,
Yeah,
man.
he's wanting everybody to come hang with him.
Yeah, he's like, I'm here, come over here. Yeah.
And I think that's important to comment on in the question, right? And just make sure what do the calls that the animals are saying or we're saying, what does that mean? Are they asking for a response? Are they
chuckle's
asking
an
for an
invite.
action?
Yeah.
Right. So he's inviting you, right? You can sit there and he's like, hey, I already told you to come here.
Yeah, exactly.
Come show yourself, or I'm gonna shut up because something ain't right if you're not responding back. And if it's an older bull, you're not gonna get a ton from him, man. You just won't get a ton from him. So
Especially if he's got a cow with him.
if he's telling you to come,
Maybe he
with
said,
a
I
bow
caught
in
him
your
on the
hand."
road, a big 7x7, no cow. Maybe that meant no cow, not no bow. I don't know.
Mike Wilson asked, can you give some examples of bow calls? And Luis, you got to sit on a herd of bulls that were given bow calls, man, bull mews. Were they any different than the cow mews?
Not really. Not really. I mean, they sounded just like if anything, they were young
Quieter.
bulls, and it was very low volume but high pitched.
Yeah.
Hmm
Yeah.
Very
So
low volume and high pitch.
one thing that I'll
As
do
they were sparring. As
Yeah.
they were sparring, they wouldn't do it. They were doing that.
Yeah, a lot like what you're hearing Gilbert doing. It's real low, and sometimes it's almost like a like that. But what I do for a bow call, Mike, is early season, and the way that I kind of distinguish it from cow calls is a lot of times we'll give those cow calls in kind of multiples, or they'll do it, and I'll just do my bow call through my tube, and it'll just be a single, and that's it. That's what I'll do, just like that. And I'll just give that single out there and I'll cast it across. And this is a early season type deal, right?
First thing in the morning.
Yeah, first thing
First
in
thing
the
in the
dark.
morning. In the dark.
And they will respond. You'll hear, and it sounds like
Yeah,
a
man.
cow call, but it ain't. It's a bull responding back to you. Okay. And a lot of times what I'll do is early season, when I do that, when I'm moving through thick brush, I'm going to use those type of mews or calls, those cow calls, or it can be used as a bull call because it's the same thing. And I will get bulls that'll come in silently because they're not interested in cows at that point, but they are in buddy mode and they're coming to check out, is that another bull? What does he look like? Who is that? Because until they start bugling and giving away their maturity and their voice, they can't really tell a lot from a mew, how big or what the other bull looks like. They can't tell what another bull looks like with a chuckle or with a glunk or with a moan or a grunt or a rake. All of those are great ways to introduce bulls without giving away size. And when you don't give away size, more bulls will come into that. A lot of times you give away huge maturity, then you're going to bring in a mature bull because a lot of those dudes ain't coming in. Now, if that's all you're after, there's a key for you right there. Okay?
I got a couple, a story that will tie in a couple of points. Manano and I made it all the way up in the morning to the top of this ridge, and we were in this plateau, and we were tired because it was very steep to get up there. And we decided to take a break, and we were eating. And as we were sitting down, I was like, man, I had a few calls, and I wanted to understand which one was which and what one sounded like versus the other. And so, I started kind of playing with them and started making sounds and just trying to identify the differences between the calls. So I wasn't trying to be very technical. I was just, blowing through the diaphragm. And all of a sudden, Manano was like, wait, did you hear that? And I was like, no, I didn't hear it. And he's like, a cow responded. And I'm like, I didn't hear anything. I was like, yeah, it's coming that way. So he walks over to the edge of the of where the trees are, and I stay in the back, and then I kind of keep playing, cow sounds. And sure enough, there was a bull coming. So two things. One, again, don't be afraid of making sounds with your diaphragm. You will be surprised what you're able to call in. The fact that we were sitting there for a while and I was making a lot of sounds in the same spot also proves that you need to give your setups some time. And then two is the bulls will respond, just like Joe said, with the bow calls. And sometimes they will come in with that being their initial point of contact.
Yep.
Bit.
Yeah, great point, man. And I wanted to get Steve Hansen. He said, what were the scenarios on these stories where they snuck in? Time of year, type of sequence, were they in a destination, etc. So, Steve, it was early season. The type of sequence was basically, I was just cow chumming, basically. And when I'm cow chumming, I'm like, I'm just giving like 2 or 3 calls like that. Okay, and I'm just kind of working that as I'm going, and I'm cow chumming. All right, And let's see, on your question, it was type of, were they in, all right, so were they in destination? So my favorite thing to do is I want to know, and in the area, I generally get an idea where they have their night beds or their feed, right, that they're doing, and kind of those areas that are transitions from night beds to day beds or vice versa. And I like to hunt the transition areas. So yes, a lot of those bulls were in transition from one location. They were going to a destination, but I was already in there in that transition area, so they would pull to me. Plus, if you get in some thick areas and there gets to be a lot of pressure out there, some of those bulls will not even go anywhere. They will bed in that transition. They'll bed in that thick stuff, and they'll just wait. They'll let everybody go around them, okay? So it was early season most of the time. The other time that they'll sneak in is when you're in that rut transition period, when, you know, those bulls are going from buddy to start gathering cows before the full rut. When you're doing things like that, and let's say that I'm doing the same type of call sequence, but I get a bull to respond. He responds at 300, he responds at 200, and then all of a sudden at 150, you know, he is like asking me, or actually commanding me as a cow to come to him. He's like staying in one position and telling me to come to him. So in that point, one thing that I'll do is I will introduce a bull. And when I introduce a bull, I will generally introduce that bull with raking. Okay? And by doing, and y'all, I'm telling you, raking is so huge. It is
Absolutely
so effective. You're not going to mess it up, you know, unless you're, you know, my buddy Cole Wilkes takes a whole friggin' timber and starts plowing into something. But, you know, it's so cool, man, because they can't gauge what it is. It sounds like another bull. They will come in because it's demonstrating. They don't know if you're demonstrating to another bull or if you're demonstrating to a cow, and they will come in to check it out. So when I introduce that raking, it creates that illusion of another bull, but they don't know how big it is, so they will come in and check it out silently.
And if you're raking, boys, make sure you got an arrow knocked right. I mean,
absolutely,
you will be
better have it ready.
Guard, yeah, have it ready and have that bow close, right? I mean, you know, you're gonna, generally speaking, you're gonna be raking, switching hands. If you gotta put your bow down, have one knocked. Make sure.
I usually hang mine on the tree next to me, guy. I'll clip me a little limb off and hang my bow with a knocked arrow on it right next to me, or right next to the tree I'm raking on. And I mean, it's right there ready to rock and roll, you know, because when you're doing that, it is a dynamic situation, and they will come rolling in there on you, dude. And you won't hear them. A lot of times you might hear one little, you might hear something like that, and then before you know it, they're on top of you, bro.
Yeah, and that sounds.
Times,
and you guys are describing a solo scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and so when that's the case, obviously you go quiet if you make eye contact, and then just try. If they hang up, then what do? You try to throw stuff back, right?
Behind
a lot of times on the rake, a lot of times they'll come in and they'll be at your 12 o'clock and they'll start displaying back at you, right? So now, you know, especially if you're not paying attention, then all of a sudden this bull is 40 yards in front of you, pretty much covered, and he's displaying and raking too, right? So, you know, play that scenario how you will. It's a tough one on a solo with the raking. So make sure you have your lanes, you have good lanes that are coming into your 12 o'clock.
And the thing is, when you do rake, it's just like when I did the love straighted scenario. You do that raking, you do it for a portion, and then you actually just get in front of the rake tree using that as a backdrop. And sometimes, y'all, I will actually find a tree that the branches are up higher, about 5 foot. I will already be in position, my bow down, I get a stick, and I can use the rake tree behind me while I'm looking forward. So while I'm looking at what's happening out there, I'm not looking at the tree banging on it. I'm actually in position. I'm in position. I got my bow on the ground, arrow knocked. I got a stick. I've got the rough pine right behind me, and I will right there on that pine. And then I'll do some hits, and then I'll hit some of the branches up above me. But I am actually looking, and I am already in killing position. You got to do that unless you're doing a partner thing. If you're doing a partner thing, you don't have to worry about it, man. It's no biggie. But, you know, like Guy said, you had better be ready. And I'm looking for a bull coming into me, man. Okay?
Yeah.
That's how I killed that bull
You and
in
Chav.
our unit. Yeah, it's exactly how I killed it right there. I'm raking the tree behind me. I set it down. I do it for like a minute, right about there, minute and a half. Stop, marinate, and I'm looking, man, and I'm waiting. I didn't even get to 5 minutes in before that cow and bull came into me. So, our brother Adam Messner, he has been dying to get this question answered. It still haunts him from last season, man. I've heard this question. He's been waiting for an answer. So, what should you do when you've got a bedded bull that you've pinpointed in a bowl or in a drainage and the wind's swirling even after the thermals have switched?
I answered him. So,
well, let everybody else hear the answer.
yeah. So I told him, I said, Adam, if you got a bull bedded, you got eyes on him, you're gonna have to wait till the wind's right, man. If you go in there and he catches wind of you, he's not gonna be bedded in there anymore. He's leaving. So it's really important for you to catch the wind in the right scenario. It may take an hour. It may take 3 hours for the wind to get right. It may take 6 hours for the wind to get right. It doesn't matter, but you will not have an opportunity if you go in there with the wind swirling. It's just, he's gonna catch you. He's bedded in that location for a reason. He beds there. We did this with a moose last year. He bedded in a location he knew was going to be able to be kept from our wind, and we went in there anyway and chanced it, and we ruined the setup, man, because the wind got all wrong. You know, in your knower, Adam, that the wind has got to be 100% in your favor, or you're not going to win against these critters, man. They're there for a reason, and he has got the advantage because of where he's bedded, and it's because of the prevailing wind or the swirling wind, and that's to his advantage.
And one thing I want to say too, though, is I'm going to throw something in there, is there's a time when it's not going to be his advantage, and that's when he has to get up and move at him.
Yeah.
And if it is a verbal bull, if he was verbal before and that's how you located him, when he gets up to go, he's going to be verbal as well, especially if you've done anything where every now and then you just gave a cow call. I mean, it could be every 30 minutes, man. If he hears that cow call, when he gets up and he goes to do what he's going to do, he is going to announce. He is going to advertise. He's going to let you know where he is. And then he's going to put himself in a position now where he is not at an advantage. And he is going to be going to a destination. So if you can get where that boy is going, now you have him in a whole different scenario. Okay?
And you can call to him. You know? And look, Adam, if it's your last day, nothing ventured, nothing lost, man. I mean, get up in there, baby. Get on the side of him and try to call him out of there. Put on a scenario where you got a hot cow, you introduce a bull, and he's got a hot cow, he's glunking, he's raking, all of that. See if we can get him up out of there, you know, calling to you where your wind is. But this is, like I said, last day thing. I mean, if you got a few days and you know he's in there quite a bit, the wind's going to get right for you at one time for you to get up in there on him. But like Joe said, be a ninja, find out which way he's coming and going, and then set up on him, you know, because he's got to move. He's slaves, you know, they're slaves to their bellies, brother. They got to go water, they got to go feed, and they got to breed. So,
hey, guys, I'm sorry, Gil, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all good. At the end of the day, man, you got a really good thing going on, Adam. You've located a bull, and there's an opportunity for you to go get him. Just, you know, it's not all lost.
There's a book, Predator Prey Dynamics: The Role of Olfaction. Copyright's like 2007, right? We've had enough questions. I'm not saying it that way, right? We've had quite a few questions about what the wind is doing, what they're smelling, blah 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 blah. This is the best book that you will find on olfaction. I mean, it talks about updraft, downdraft, particle scent, and it really gets into how predators are looking for that prey, olfaction camouflage. I mean, this thing, wind dynamics and how they affect it. You read that book, you are going into the woods after you read that a better hunter. And I don't want to take credit for finding that book. That was something that Captain James Nash put me on several years back. And it's something that I'll still refer to. I'll see a scenario, I'll get in that book again, man. But Predator-Prey Dynamics, The Role of Olfaction, it is a phenomenal read if you're in the elk woods, if you're hunting mule deer, get it.
So let's give away our next group. We're going to get a call set right here. You're going to get the grinder, you're going to get the Burnham Red, and you're going to get the juice, man. So we have now 33 people on here, and I'm going to do the number generator from 1 to 33, and let's see what we get. Number is 29, and that is Caleb Jurgen. Caleb Jurgen.
All right, dude.
So Caleb, and somebody write that down, please, Caleb Jurgen, for the 3 calls. Caleb, if you will email me your address, your physical address, and your phone number at joe@elkbros.com. We'll get you taken care of, man. Get those calls off to you. All right? And we've got one more giveaway that we're going to do when we're getting ready to sign off, y'all. Okay?
And Charlie, shoot me. I put my email in there, man. I'll get that sent out to you tomorrow. And then somebody asked about the Pursuit ponchos. So everything that's placed by this Friday, I'll get it shipped within 24 hours. If you miss it by Friday, sorry, I'm headed up the mountain. Shipping will happen once a week after that. So
Jessica Vale asked, what's the best call for a smallmouth?
Smallmouth bass, Joe?
Yeah. Here, fishy.
Be a tube.
Yeah, so actually there, gosh, man, there is one. I know that Phelps has like a mini that they run, right? And I
would suggest you even take one of our calls and cut it, Joe.
Well, no, I don't,
Trim
man.
it.
If it's because of her width in her pallet, then she's still got to get the frame in there, and they have some minis that have way smaller frames. Now the problem with the mini, I'm gonna tell you, Jess, is that
or the tape?
What's that?
Well, it depends on the call company.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it the frame or the tape?
Yeah,
it is the frame.
Yeah, because for me it's the tape. It's never been the frame. It's always
there's
been the tape.
There's some manufacturers that are downsizing the tape as well as the frame for the smaller pallets.
And like Gil says, man, if it's a tape issue, you just notch
Trim
it. You know, take a look at our call, and just notch it the same way that our grinder and our sugars notch, and that comes from Wapiti River Outdoors calls.
Yep.
Travis O'Shea he's the only one that's ever I've seen do that with calls, and he's brilliant. Yeah,
he'd be on with us, but he's in the woods. They're elk hunting.
But that's one thing the only thing about a more narrow call is it gives you less latex. And when it gives you less latex, then your sound is going to be limited that you can make because it's harder to get variances. So it's going to be a very consistent sound, but which can be good too. But you can get some just with pressure and tone to get things lighter and longer and different like that. Okay?
Yeah, I would take the sugar and the grinder would fit there on a small pallet.
Try it. Mm-hmm.
The sugar
They're
and
small,
grinder are both large frames, though. If you want to
it's got to be it's just got to have a super tiny pallet, not to fit one in, though. I can't see that.
You'd be surprised, dude. I mean, I can look in somebody's mouth and actually tell.
I have a smaller pallet for a guy, and I have to trim most of the calls I was using before either Wapiti River or NBC. I'd have to trim them, but the newer ones that are the X frame and stuff like that, they fit me a lot better. I don't have to trim those.
So Jessica, I just threw 2 links, one for Wapiti and then one for Phelps. Phelps, Jason started making a smaller tape with a smaller frame on there. And then Native offers, the V3 has 3 different size frames, so you can try that out too.
Yep.
And that small one on the V3 is really, really nice.
Well, the good thing about the V3, the V3 is it's a whole differently designed frame in that it is curved on it. So it actually, instead of being flat and wedging in the side of your mouth, it's curved, so it goes to, better
contour.
inside the palate on there. That's the one thing. And the V3 frame that he's talking about is the same frame that is on our Burnham Red, made by Native by Carlton. So if you want to check out any of those, you can go to Native by Carlton. He has a whole series as well. This was made for us specifically to be able to be something that is going to give great cow-calf sounds, but can do bugles as well without just blowing it out right away. Whereas like our Sugar is a closer. It is a sweet cow-calf call, but if you scream bugles on it, you will blow it out in a day.
You won't be able to calf call on it anymore.
Yeah.
Or cow call on it. It'll sound all raspy.
And look, I want to reemphasize what Luis said earlier. Yeah, what you got there, bro? That's
I
the
was going to
V3.
show. Yeah, this is a medium V3 frame, and you can kind of see the contour of that, right? So you're not
It's rounded.
flat wedging,
Yeah.
and that fits into that contour. There it is, right there.
And there's the X series frame.
Yep. So you can see that frame, and I mean it's mirrored on the opposite side as well, but it's way more visible.
The
But
X series is the same. It has a V3 curvature, but with that X dome on it, and it allows to give a different pitch. So that's the whole idea of that. But I wanted to go back to what Luis said earlier. The one thing I would tell you guys is this: use what you got. Don't be afraid. If you have a cow call and that's your best call, use it. Use it, because that's how you're going to get animals to come to you. If you're going to go through the woods searching, then it's going to have to happen by time, place, everything. But if you have a critter that's out there and that you would normally walk by using those calls, you can bring them to you. So
Joe, Manano's probably our youngest caller, right? That's really started learning the calls and stuff like that.
Right.
Last year in Canada, we got him up doing some really good cow calls and stuff. And I'll tell you how good the cow call was. He called a wolf in. A wolf. Okay? I'm serious. When you got it sounding that sweet, a wolf comes in on you, it sounds good, brother. It sounds real. Because those wolves, they know the difference between real and not real, I promise you. So at the end of the day, Manano, keep running, man.
And for those people, I'm sorry.
It was his tench that attracted him.
For those people that are looking for a narrow reed, you can also go to Wapiti River Outdoors, and their Phantom is a narrow reed. Okay.
The
link. Wapiti's
they
link
gave
is
me
in the comments.
they made me a couple in Canada, and they work perfect for my steep palate.
Is that what you call it?
I don't know. But you understood it.
Yeah.
You said you could look into a man's mouth and know. It's recorded. I mean, it's in live. I mean, so we can go back.
I can hear what they say and know how much crap's coming out of it. Too. So it's what I want to do is, it's 9:34 right now. We're going to do this one last giveaway, and then we're going to go ahead and take one more question, and then we're going to sign off, y'all. So.
Jason Schultz wants to know where Travis is tonight. He's elk hunting, baby.
He's hunting, buddy.
They're in the woods right now as we speak.
He is. In fact, he called in this morning, a 4x4 and a younger bull, even I think a spike, and it was so thick there was no shot offered. Dylan called in a 5x5, but I can tell you this: I got a text from one of our other coaches that's in the woods as we speak. And he already saw 4 shooter bulls, and they were screaming behind his tent. And that's tonight, right now. So the elk are getting after it, y'all. They're ready to rock. So
man, I can't wait to listen to that
I know,
first
dude,
bugle in the mountain, man. It got me all giddy now.
So let's do our last giveaway. So our last giveaway is going to be a choice. You can either get an ElkBros soloist, or you can get the Guide Express. I love this. I keep this, and it has like a Velcro thing on the back. You can put it on your straps. I keep mine right here, and it has a magnetic cover on it right there.
I love it.
And I keep my calls right inside of it, keeps them safe, keeps them clean, keeps them dry. And this is mainly going to be for calls that I'm going to switch when I got one that's starting to get warm. I also wear reed quiver hat clips right here, and I keep my calls right here underneath my brim, not on top because the sun will fry the latex. I keep them underneath where I have them instant to be able to use if I don't have it in my mouth already. So you're going to get a choice, one or the other. And we have 33 people going to generate. And it's number 2, which is Jake Simmons. I don't know if Jake Simmons is still here tonight.
Where's Jake
Write
from?
that name down. Jake Simmons. Jake, I hope you listen to this podcast and send me an email, joe@elkbros.com, with your physical address, your email address, and your phone number, and we'll get you going, man. All right?
Awesome stuff, Joe. Does that take care of our giveaways tonight?
That's all of our giveaways, and what we're going to do is we're going to let Chav. Chav, I want you looking for the last question for us to do tonight. And but while Chav's doing that, y'all. First of all, my crew, my guys, man, we're so ready to go. I know Guy is biting at the bit. The boys are ready to rock. We've got our plans. We already know what we're going to do first day. So
unless Joe says we're moving.
I don't think we need to move. I think we're where we need to be, right?
Sweet,
I think we're at the place we need to be. And it's just going to be so great to get all of us together again and get in the woods. And you know, I only have one request. Manano, I don't want you taking a dump for 5 days because, you know, that way when we get in the woods, you can bring in a big one.
I'll keep all for you.
You have one, Chav?
Joe, I saw where Tony Gilbertson's signing off. We want to wish him the best of luck and go get him, champ.
Yeah.
Yeah, learn the area real good. Okay, so I think the one I'm going to ask is from Cody Kirkpatrick, one of our guides, and he said, before hunting with Joe, I was really hung up on scenarios. When I watched him day one hunting with him 2 years ago, I finally understood it. Not everything is a scenario. I think it would help everybody to have them walk through this scenario. You are finally into elk country and it's time to make a call. What call are you going to do and why? And just the first part of that question is important. Not everything's a scenario. I think when Gilbert killed his big bull, we had staged a scenario prior to it, but when we left the area, we actually spotted a cow elk. And just by spotting the elk first, we were able to get on a herd, and then Gilbert killed his big bull. So don't be thinking scenario all the time. But so that's my thought on that. But now his second part of the question is, you are finally into elk country and it's time to make a call. What call are you going to do and why? So who wants to answer that? Joe?
I'm cow calling.
100%.
Okay.
I'm always a lover before I'm a fighter. And you know, that cow call has killed, I don't know, man, probably 35 out of 37 elk for me. So I'm cow calling first.
Yeah,
and even early season, yeah, a lot of people say don't cow call early season. But early season, it becomes a bow call, man. It's a bull mew. So they will come to it, you know, if you do it right. Okay. Now, when he says that everything's not a scenario, I want you guys to understand what. So he always felt like you had to go in the woods, sit down someplace, and then put on a show of some kind. Act like elk doing an elk thing without, you know, having seen, heard, smelt another elk. And that's not the case. When he was with me, we were walking in the dark. We'd get to a certain point, and I would throw out a cow call with my mouth, then I throw a cow call through my tube, and then and now I'm waiting in between this. I'm listening. And look, when we put those things out, we're not going in our pack, we're not unzipping, we're not taking a drink, we are listening. And then if I didn't hear anything there, then I'm sending out a location bugle. Okay. And I'll tell you, what you heard Gilbert do, I would let that high note, I'd let that puppy ring, man, for it's like 3-4 seconds. Yeah. You know, I mean, I'm just, and a lot of times I'm just doing the high note. If I haven't gotten it, I'm just like broadcasting that high note. So a scenario, y'all remember it, and always, we are always kind of doing a scenario in a sense, because if I'm walking and I'm cow chumming, I'm giving the scenario of elk that are moving through the woods, right? Okay. So yes, there's, you know, everything is a type of scenario, but I think what he was talking about is where you're actually set up and then you're doing something to be able to bring them into you. Okay.
The setup is simple. The setup is just, when you're first starting out in the morning, it's that one call out into the elk woods, man, and then you listen.
Yep.
Man, and you better be ready, because you know where we hunt, they live, and if they're close by, it's go time. RC.
And,
Yes, sir.
look, a lot of you on here, if we did not answer your question, and what was so great about this, we never hit really except for the one Chav just said, we never hit our ElkBros mailbox. I mean, there was so much interaction here, such a great group of people that's on here tonight. If we didn't get your question answered, email it to joe@elkbros.com. We're going to put it on our list. We're going to put it on there, and we'll continue. We might even just do a show of just questions, just Q&A, and answer your question again.
Yeah, I mean, we got Bronson and Lloyd and Josh Baxter and Ed Morris and Brian McDade, Keenan Ruff from Canada. I mean, we want to get to your questions, guys. So y'all be patient with us, and we'll get to as many of them as we can here coming on some podcasts. But it's going to take a couple of weeks, boys, because we're going to be in the woods.
We're going to be in the elk woods. But here's how I want to end this. I want each of the bros here to give our viewers one last word or thought or message for them to take with them into the elk woods. All right. And Gil, I'm gonna have you start it, and then we'll go to Chav, RC, and I'll go right across on here on that.
Just believe in the train. Everything you've done up till now, believe in yourself. Believe in the training that you put in. Believe in your shooting ability. And, you know, guys, finishing is the most important thing, but you got to get there to finish, right? Believe. I can't stress this enough. If y'all don't know how to call, you know, elk hunting's hard. It's even harder when you don't know how to call. So work on your calling year round, work on your, you know, your fitness year round, work on your shooting year round. I mean, this is something that everybody that does what we do, this is the Mecca. This is the time we yearn for. I mean, it's been 365 days, 68 days 69 days since we've been on the mountain. So at the end of the day, all of this, leave it all out there, man. You've put the work in. Now go enjoy being on the mountain. You know, get some spiritual time with you and your maker, and you know, fix yourself, become better husbands, become better fathers, become better hunters. And because I'm telling you, what we do up there on the mountain is spiritual. It's not just, you know, yeah, we want to hunt a critter and we want to harvest one for sure. But at the end of the day, like Joe says, there's not a day that goes by because of these guys that I've been with, the very best, Joe Giglia, Leroy Chavez, the legend RC Knox, Guy Duplantier, you know, the Venezuelan Mafia. These guys are what drive me to be better every day. And, you know, I want you guys to know we appreciate all of you, our listeners, because without y'all, we couldn't do what we do, you know. But go out there and have fun and enjoy your time in the woods and your time together, whether it's you solo or whether it's you with a group of of hunters that you love to hunt with, man. And thank you guys so much for all you've done for us, and we look forward to seeing you on the next ridge.
Chav?
And that's what one word of advice means.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say one word. He filled all the things I was going to say.
Sorry, RC.
Yeah, I'm not going to say ditto, but just simply don't waste the days. Enjoy every moment and keep grinding. And any advice is, if you get close to an elk and you're going to do some calling, call behind you. They can pinpoint you real easy. Good luck to everybody.
RC.
I would have to say one of the advice that I would give is always remember the wind. It can be your enemy or it can be your friend. Always use it to your advantage and always be smart with it.
Manano.
Don't forget your pillows.
Pretty quick. Pay attention to the wind. Find somebody with wisdom that RC and Chav has, with the farts as nasty as Joe, with the funny thing as Beto, and the dumb guy as Luis. Find a group like that, and you will be happy the rest of your life.
That's the only part I understood. Sorry, bro.
Luis.
We're going to hell too.
Be afraid of regret.
No regrets, y'all.
No regrets.
No regrets. Guy.
Honestly, I think Luis probably said it the best in a couple simple words. We're out there for a reason, but don't walk by everything else that you can experience and lose sight of all the beauty that's in what we do, right? I mean, there's a goal, but there is a long, arduous road or mountain path to that goal. Enjoy every step of it, and don't stop learning.
That's right.
And all I'm going to tell you guys is, man, anything you want, anything worth having is worth working for. It is up to you. It's up to you. If this stuff was easy, everybody'd be doing it. And it's not. But it's the most fun, hard work you'll ever do in your life. So, peace.
It is hard work.
And I hope you have the sun at the back and the wind in your face and bugles all night long. All right?
Amen.
Yes, sir.
Best of luck,
guys, if you like what
everybody.
we're doing, go ahead, Guy.
I just said best of luck, everybody.
Yeah, best of luck, man. Y'all shoot a big one. Have fun, man. If you like what we're doing, guys, please subscribe, rate, and review us. You got to go to Apple Podcast or iTunes to review us, and be sure to include your name and where you're from to get in on our Spinner Winter Wheel drawing. And you can check out more elk hunting content at ElkBros.com. And just a reminder, if any of our listeners would like their questions answered on the show, just send your question to Joe at ElkBros.com. And guys, we still have some tags available. We're licensed outfitters in New Mexico. If you're looking for some rifle tags, we've got some unit-wide tags that are still available, so we can help you guys there with bull tags or cow tags as well. We got some really fantastic news coming, guys. It's unbelievable what this crew right here has been able to pull off. I hunt with the baddest men on the planet, and it's going to get even sweeter in the days that are coming. So, guys, like we say down here in the Lone Star State, husbands, hug your wives, kiss your babies, keep your broadheads sharp and your powder dry, and we'll see you next week right here on Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
Peace, everybody, man.
Work's been tough, and the days are dragging by. Nothing seems to go my way, and I'm ready to say goodbye to all of this garbage on TV. I believe I'm better off in the mountains peacefully, where the leaves are green and the air is nice and dry. Hit the forward button, man, it's almost time. Is it September yet? I'm all in. sticks in the high country. Let the games begin. Is it September yet? My tank is full of gas. If you don't sign that leaf slip, boss man, I'm out of here. You're gonna kiss my ass. Is it September yet? Is it September yet? Summer goes fast. Yeah, fall is coming. We'll be here before you know it, man. While I'll be running and gunning. It's time to be savage, not average. When the old bull's screaming, the sun's coming over the ridge right now. All those canyons, they'll be singing. Is it September yet? I'm all in. Time to leave July behind me and make August a has-been. Is it September yet? I can't take this pain no more. Bugling bulls in the mountain air is what I'm living for. Is it September yet? Is it September yet? Oh yeah! Dice, gonna take it all in every morning and night. Play them big old bowls like an old Hank tune. When the shot is right, you know I'm gonna send it. Money in the bank shot, you know I'm gonna spend it all at once. I won't have no regrets. Is it September yet?